Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video of Fox Flicks on Popcross Studios. Today we're gonna watch as he turns some of the monsters from Garten of BANBAN into new SCP anomalies. Let's hop in and see what he can create. And before I actually start this, I want to say that when I had read the title, the first thing that popped into my mind was him turning BANBAN into some kind of doctor that was either the creator of all of these monsters or the original person studying them. So he could have been like called Dr. Nathaniel BANBAN or something. That's all I thought of. Let's move on.
Garten of BANBAN is a game that's been suggested to me by a whole bunch of my subscribers, most specifically on the videos I did of Doors entities as SCPs and Rainbow Friends monsters as different types of monsters. And this game fits into that nice little niche I enjoy working with so much, of some very simply designed creatures that have some creepy background and story to them that I can take and flesh out their designs into even more creepy versions. And I decided to go with SCPs just because kind of in the mood to do that. I like the idea of doing them as kaiju as well, but only really from a visual standpoint. I didn't have a great idea for a plot setup.
No real story,
I will get back to a kaiju video at some time in the near future. But first, this. Let's go.
Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show.
Let's go. Oop, wait.
Good evening, everyone. Today I will be conducting another lecture on entities of the
Dr. Oakland, it's good to see you again, sir.
Subcategory SCP-R, but not in regards to further SCPs found in the abandoned hotel designated Site R/D. In this case, we will be discussing entities found thanks to a recent hire of the Foundation, a man who deserves our utmost respect for facing the wrath of multiple entities on his own in an attempt to save his child, as well as multiple other children. All the entities we'll discuss today were contained in SCP sites thanks to the assistance of this man, who, for the time being, will remain anonymous, but who
that's the player character
you may interact with in the near future if stationed in the same site. We will begin with item number SCP-R708. Object class, safe. Special containment procedures.
Oh god.
R708 is to be housed in...
I'm sorry, but you're saying the Snell is safe? You literally can't move when it's looking straight, or it's gonna go Sonic the Hedgehog on you.
A 30 by 30 foot containment cell with standard durability. The entity spends much of its time slowly circling the perimeter of its cell, and personnel are only to enter containment when R708 is at the farthest point from the door. Ignoring one's instincts, personnel are to remain perfectly still if the entity looks directly at them and approaches. Movement is only acceptable when the entity looks away, which it inevitably will. Personnel are also to carry a bucket at least half full of salt with them when entering in case they do need to defend themselves against the entity, as this substance can dramatically dry it out and harm it. Description.
Good idea.
R708 is an 8-foot tall yellow snail with a yellowish-green shell. It has 2 vesicular eyes at the ends of stalks on the top of its head, as well as 4 other stalks protruding from its chin.
Gross.
Unlike most snails or slugs, this entity has a semi-humanoid mouth, which consists of some jagged and some squared-off teeth. It is also constantly smiling and has the ability to speak in a slow, feminine voice, though, thus far, has proven unable to carry an intelligent conversation. When the
At most, you'll hear it asking, where are you, who goes there, stuff like that. Oh, and her name, if you haven't played the game yet, is Celine. Slow Celine.
If the entity is in the same room as a human, it will slowly slide its way across the floor towards them, but will stop intermittently to look around the room, with its eyes moving in opposing directions. So far as we have gathered, this entity can only see things that are in movement, resembling the apocryphal belief about Tyrannosaurus rexes.
Yeah.
When the entity spots a target moving, if they then remain still, R708 will slowly move in the direction it saw them in, though stopping to look around for further movement. This gives the aforementioned opportunity for one to escape. However, if its target continues to move after being seen, R708 will dart towards them at, frankly, unexplainably fast speeds and proceed to devour them.
Yeah, when I said it will go Sonic at you, that wasn't a joke. If you move when C's looking at you, that's it.
While observing this creature in containment, it has been heard to utter the phrases, "It hurts," as well as, "I was promised something painless." Research into all entities captured with the aid of our newest hire are still ongoing, but we believe this entity, among others, was once a human experimented on using an unstable new element called Javanium, which will be discussed further in our other logs today. If this theory is proven correct,
next?
we will do all we can to return this being back to a human form and end the pain it claims to be enduring. Though it must also be considered that the entity is simply feigning distress to lure in a new victim.
Hey, at least one thing is that if you need to kill it, you can just flood the room with salt. Do like what you do with a 682.
For those of you with a strong...
Oh god, Nab? Really? You're gonna do him next? You know what? No, I actually want to see what you can do with this spider. I said that with heavy quotes, because they call it a spider, but it's not really a spider. It only has 4 limbs, first of all.
Aversion to arachnids, I recommend tuning out for the following log. Though, if you do allow fears to control what you observe or listen to, then you should likely reconsider a career with the SCP Foundation. Item number SCP-R707. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. R707 is to be held in a standard containment cell. Due to its unpredictable demeanor and movements, personnel are only to enter...
Okay, so far he actually hasn't done too bad with the design. He actually did a hell of a lot with such a simple design. Like, it literally... Sorry. Let me just say this, then we'll continue on. He did good. I like it.
...its cell after it has been doused with a sleeping powder to be knocked unconscious. Personnel must enter in groups of no less than 2 to have strength in numbers, and if the entity awakens while they are inside, personnel are recommended to vacate the cell immediately, making as much noise as possible in the process to disorient the creature. Description.
Yeah.
R707 is a loosely semi-humanoid blue spider entity,
Very loose.
but only possessing 4 limbs. Its entire torso is one large head and mouth, within which are a set of very sharp teeth ranging from 1 to 5 inches in size.
Like a leech.
It has 3 dominant eyes near the top of its body, and 2 extra sets on either side of its pectoral region. It also has
like
a
3
long,
heads.
durable tongue that is often seen flopping outside of its mouth. Despite being roughly the size of a full-grown human, this entity is able to stick to walls like a spider and climb across ceilings at rapid speeds to approach its potential prey.
No idea how.
It has been observed to fluctuate between being very curious and highly hostile. Upon first being brought into containment, it was very difficult for our scientists to determine whether it would keenly observe the actions of those that came into its containment cell, or simply attack and consume
Terrible.
them. This entity was found to have a counterpart with a very similar appearance, though less saturated in color, and oddly, it was found to have a bow on its head, as if to signify it to be female. That entity was captured some days later and has been classified as R709. The containment procedures are identical to those of R707. We have conducted trials putting these 2 entities in containment with one another, and while they both have been found to be unpredictable in nature on their own, they have not once shown any hostility to one another. In fact, they seem to be soothed by each other's presence. Further research and trials are needed, but it is being heavily considered that we place these entities permanently in shared containment to keep both more docile, possibly to the point of being reclassified as safe. This log will be updated when more information is available. As with the previous entity, we believe both R707 and R709 to be experiments made with the use of the element known as Javanium, though they were likely made with a combination of sources. Unlike...
Yeah, one thing that has been pretty much told true is that in the games, is that all the creatures are made out of Givanium, and in many cases, human DNA. Not a human host, but just a human genome, which has different effects depending on many different outcomes. One being, well, Nab, one being Celine, and of course, Stingle Flynn. Ooh, I wonder if he does Stingle Flynn.
Our next entity, which we believe to have been made entirely from this strange element.
Love it, it's horrifying, get it out of my sight, you did amazing. Let's see, who's next? Oh, okay, we'll be right back. And we're back, and it's Jumbo Josh. Was he actually made out of only Givanium? Maybe. Maybe that was said in Chapter 1.
Item number SCP.
But no, probably not, because Chapter 1 you're mostly dealing with the Opilabod. You don't really deal with Josh until Chapter 2 and 3.
R703. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. R703 is to be housed in a 50 by 50 foot cell. It is to be provided 10 pounds of fruits and vegetables per day, but not a single ounce more, to prevent it from increasing further in size.
Oh.
Description. R703 is currently a 20-foot tall green humanoid entity with a vascular and muscular body. It commonly stands on all fours with a posture resembling that of a gorilla. It has a wide head and large, unblinking eyes. Its mouth is commonly seen to be in a wide grin, though can shift subtly to appear more in distress. When first encountered by our latest hire, this entity was only 10 feet tall in height. Still large, of course, but much smaller than it stands currently.
Okay.
Upon first being brought into containment, it was discovered that, while the entity would eagerly attempt to consume humans, it was also easily satiated by fruits and vegetables. It is near constantly ravenous.
That's right. Because in Chapter 1, his thing is to eat fruits and vegetables, to eat healthy, so you can grow big like him. Now that makes sense.
And could seemingly eat endlessly if provided a steady flow of food. But it has also been observed that after consuming a certain amount, the entity's body will continue to grow larger, and it will require more and more to further sustain it. 10 pounds of food in a day has been set as its current limit, enough to sustain it and keep it from acting out, but a small enough dose to prevent it from growing. Though we are still going through all of the research found along with these entities upon their capture, from what we've gathered thus far, this creature was created using a form of Givanium-infused putty. It was simply sculpted, then brought to life. Through currently unknown and not understood means, though both scientific and supernatural means are being explored. It was also originally a much smaller size. Then, as it was provided with sustenance as well as further Givanium infusions, it grew and grew.
Yeah.
We have found that the entity can only be injured to the point of hindering its movements for a short term. Even significant damage to the entity's body will soon be healed, thanks to its still partially putty-like form, that will slowly shift back into...
The easiest way of explaining Jumbo Josh is that old Clado, I don't know what to call him, but gummy, if you remember that. That weird Clado-like figure or gummy. You take that, you inject it with some Givanium, you get Jumbo Josh.
Into an uninjured state. Attempts have not yet been made to try and completely kill this creature, though we are quite confident that it does not reach the same level of invulnerability as entities such as SCP-682, also known as the hard-to-destroy reptile. Of course, that is only how this log phrases the information. I personally am still of the mind that we will someday find a way to kill 682, and I do not intend to stop seeking methods of achieving this until we do. Anyhow, we have discovered some research suggesting that this entity, R703, is one of 5 nearly identical entities, simply varying in color, though it is currently our hope that the others were failed experiments that never came to fruition, as we have yet to locate them, and as it was, we had a difficult enough time incapacitating this entity to bring it into containment. Still, we do have field operatives searching the location R703 and the others were found in for more entities and information.
Yeah, I have no memory of them saying Jumbo Josh is one of 5 in the game, so I'ma hope he's not.
The final
There he
entity
is!
we'll be discussing today has been a source
BANBAN himself, aka the Devil.
of abundant information.
That's what he's called in the game by the files that you find around scattered place. His codename or alias, the Devil.
For us, in a way, but we are still unclear as to whether or not we can trust all the information it provides. As such, much of it is not being transcribed as fact, but is instead assisting us in forming more theories about these entities, while seeking the truth on our own. Item number SCP-R701. Object Class, Keter. Special Containment Procedures.
Kettle.
R701 is to be housed in a standard containment cell. Personnel are only to enter with armed guards.
Okay, there we go. I wonder if he'll actually do 2. One of Hungry BANBAN and one of Docile BANBAN. Probably not.
Placed inside the doors with them, ready to fire upon the entity and restrain it if it becomes hostile and attempts to escape. It is to be fed animal organs once per day, ensuring to add a pancreas into the rotation once per week. If the entity does attempt an escape, no pancreas is to be provided for a period of 1 month. The entity has been informed of this, but unfortunately it has not stopped R701 from attempting breaches.
He loves the pancreas.
Description: SCP-R701 in its resting state is a red humanoid entity with devil-like horns on its head. It has enlarged forearms, bears a somewhat silly-looking smile at most times, and has no reproductive or waste excretion organs, suggesting that everything it consumes is promptly turned into some form of fuel. Unfortunately, it also has an altered state that some in the Foundation have referred to as feral or hijacked. Regardless of the terminology, in its altered state, which seems to come about at random times after the entity gets very frustrated in its cell, R701 becomes slightly larger and more muscular. Its somewhat silly-looking grin shifts into an aggressive sneer, and it grows long, sharp teeth. In this state, it is also far more likely to attack personnel and tear through their flesh to consume their organs. Though it is no guarantee that when out of this form, our employees are safe in its presence. This entity has the ability to carry full conversations, and has informed us that it is, or at least was, a doctor who worked with gene splicing experimentation, and was working on splicing the experimental element, Javanium, into its experiments when he—
Wait, so we actually could call him Dr. Nathaniel BANBAN then, and it would be perfectly fine. He calls himself a doctor. Oh, yes, a joke turned reality.
He started to lose some memories, and many of the people he worked with suddenly vanished from his place of work. Unfortunately, this entity cannot seem to recall the names of its co-workers, or even its own name, and it seems to be completely unaware that it does not have a normal human body. When told of this information, it simply ignores the person informing it, changes the subject, or outright attacks them.
Yeah.
Based on other research we have done, our best guess thus far is that this entity was the 6th in a line of experiments in which the Javanium gene splicing was occurring, and that to accomplish the creation of a new and helpful life form, a doctor spliced part of his own genes into the creation. Meaning that this being is not, in fact, the original Doctor, but does have traits of him.
Well, there you go.
Many details would need to be elaborated on to confirm this as truth, but thus far it is our best theory. If any of you make the time to go through all of the research documents acquired and come up with more information or insights that aid us in learning more about the entities discussed today, we will gladly consider increasing your clearance level, as we must ensure that the doctors who created these entities are not still out in the world, making more threats. With all that said, we will conclude the lecture for today. Thank you for your time, all, and please provide any further requests for entities to discuss in lectures in the future in the notes below.
Alright, I can't wait for episode 2 so you can do the Pillabud and her hatchlings. Huh. Would he do the hatchlings? Probably with the Opila board.
Well, there we have another chance for me to work with a game that I'd never heard of that my subscribers wanted me to work with. That turned into some fun, creepy art. Though admittedly, after doing my recent DC Villains as Marvel Heroes episodes, I'm really feeling more of the vibe of taking creepy things and turning them into more uplifting, positive stories. Might lean into that a little bit more in the near future. But if you are new to this channel, you might enjoy my Doors Entities as SCPs videos, or maybe my Roblox Monsters episode. And if you want the inks from this episode to color yourself, and inks from tons of my other episodes, plus access to high-resolution art and inks a day before a video comes out, and a bonus podcast series, you might want to consider supporting the Popcross Studios Patreon. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note. And what I'm going with is actually based on a lesson that I didn't necessarily learn outright this week, but was more reassured on. And that's this idea that if you ever tell yourself, nobody gets me or no one will ever understand me, that is just a defensive lie we tell ourselves that keeps us from going out and seeking the people that do understand us. Pushing myself a little bit out of my comfort zone last weekend, I went on a yoga and meditation retreat, hoping that there would be a chance to talk to some people about topics that I wouldn't bring up in normal conversation with others. And within the first few hours of being there, I felt very accepted and embraced and relaxed because I put myself in a situation where there was a good chance I would find people that I could talk to about the things I wanted to talk about. There are people out there who will understand whatever it is you're going through right now. You just have to push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit to try and make an effort to go find them. I hope that's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next episode on Monday, which is a Multiverse Tales episode. I'll see you there.
Well, folks, that's where we're going to end up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link will be in the description, and I'll see all of you folks next time when we flick on. Peace out.